everybody, it's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones, and I am hoping that we have no glitches today on this wonderful remote viewing show. My goodness, we have our good friend Arkheim Ra here in the studio tonight. I got my microphone back. Oh, there's a glitch. Y'all watching that? I knew it. I knew something would happen, but hey, we're going to keep the party going. I got multiple cameras tonight, so if this camera doesn't work, I got another one. All right, I told y'all this is the glitch in the Matrix. There's your glitch. All right. Well, we have a fantastic remote viewing target for you guys tonight. If you guys would like to follow along with all of the remote viewing data, I do have a Patreon. All of the data is pasted and posted in my Patreon. That's the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. Shout out to all my Patreon members. You guys are the best. Okay. Well, I have a UFO conference that I'm speaking at this weekend on Saturday. We're going to be up in Blue Ridge, Georgia. I hope you guys will come hang out and come see me. We're going to have Dr. John Stamey there and Les Durant and a few other people. Mark Muncie and Matthew Delph may not be able to make it to that. You guys are getting this camera. All right. You guys come and see me, and I'm going to change cameras while we got this flyer up right now. And yeah, here we go. I will be, yeah. I'm sorry. Sometimes we have technical difficulties. We got to fix it right then and there. Okay. And this is one of those moments. Okay. So anyways, y'all come see me in Blue Ridge, Georgia. I'm back. I'm a little more blurry, but it's all good. So we got to keep the show going. Okay. You can't see all my wrinkles now. Just kidding. Okay. So yeah, I'll be there this weekend. And let's see what else we got. I am the keynote speaker at the Georgia Bigfoot Conference this year. So you guys please plan to be there too. That's on March the 22nd up in Demarest, Georgia. It's going to be a great time up there. March the 22nd. The meet and greet will be on March the 21st, if you guys want to come to that. Also, I promised Daryl Denton that I would promote these calendars. I was voted one of the top 12 researchers, I think top 12 females, Bigfoot researchers at Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures on Facebook. So thank you guys so much for nominating me and voting for me over there. And I am Miss June. I'm one of the June people. Elijah Henderson and his sister Gabby and myself, we are here on June. I'm looking forward to June. Everybody's going to get to hang out with the Cryptid Huntress every day that has a calendar. Okay, so you guys go purchase those over at Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures on Facebook if you would like your own copy of that. Okay, all right. Well, I also, one more thing of business here. I also want to thank everybody who's reached out to me. My grandmother did pass away this week. And so I've been, I was at her apartment all day cleaning up and moving furniture out and stuff like that. So I do want to thank everybody for all of the nice, kind words, people who did know, friends and family and things like that. And we will be having a memorial service for her in March on her birthday. International Women's Day. And I'll pay a quick tribute to my grandmother real quick. She was awesome, y'all. And that's my grandmother with my son and my grandfather right there. So shout out to Miss Nellie. She was a pioneer in women's rights, the women's rights movement throughout the 1960s and 70s. And she was my inspiration. And yeah, she took me down. I was kind of like her little protege growing up too. So, but we were very close, and she was 93 years old and passed away on Tuesday. So, so thank you to everybody who reached out to me about that. And I'm sorry, I have a hard time getting back to everybody. I'm so sorry. But hey, if you called me or texted me, I'll get back to you. Okay. If you got my number. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, let's get to our show tonight. We have a fantastic show. I do have Arkheim Ra here in the studio tonight, and I can't wait to hear about this target. I don't know what this target is because I know what it is, but I don't know what it is, if you know what I mean. And it's fascinating. It is off planet. It's otherworldly. And it's so wild because the way Arkheim described this to me, the data lines up with this target, with what this is. All right, y'all. So let's get to it. All right. So Arkheim tasked me with the remote viewing target of the forced colonization of the planet Angua. I think you say it Angua. Against the native people's will. According to Arkheim, Angua is a desert planet similar to Arrakas from the movie Dune. We're going to be discussing the data here. There's a lot of it. And if you guys want to see the data, it's over on my Patreon. Go to the Cryptid Huntress on Patreon. Arkheim Ra is a starseed who was targeted for a super soldier espionage mind control program in U.S. public schools' talented and gifted program. He served at Montauk under Project Phoenix and has had several alters which engage with time travel and alternate reality programs in what he believes may have been a swap alternate reality. Arkheim's alters have also worked with Nacht Waffen, Mars Defense Force, Solar Warden, Lunar Command, and more. And you guys can find Arkheim on his YouTube channel. It's called Disclosure Now with an exclamation point. And he's putting out great information. I've spent time with Arkheim up at Montauk. He is a Montauk Project survivor as well. And I actually got to spend a whole week with him up in Montauk last year, or year before last. I can't remember. It's been a while. And we have spoken at conferences together. And he's fantastic. He's the one who brought us Robot Grandma, Jump Rooms to Venus and Mars, Davenport Underground, and much more. Please help me welcome to the show my buddy, Arkheim Ra.
Thanks for having me. I just want to say, sorry for your loss as well. I just found out through the show. My grandma was also a women's right activist who was she's in there's history books about it, and there's pictures of her and stuff. And anyway, it's kind of strange how our both of our grandmas are part of that, and sure they would have been great friends if they known each other. Who knows? Maybe they even did. It's a small world, but I just want to acknowledge that and say sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, it's awesome to be here. Thanks for having me. I guess I'll kind of explain how this target even came into existence. So as people know, I have DID. I have dissociative identity disorder, which means I have different personalities, which were created through MK Ultra Black Ops projects. And sometimes they can take over and they can start talking to me and they can start saying things to me. And I had this happen a few weeks ago, but it was really unique and different. It was different than it ever had been. And whoever took me over, they were talking in a different language. And at first I couldn't understand them, but then it was they were talking in a different language, not anything I'd ever heard. And but then I could understand everything they were saying. And I'm going to be real with you guys. This gets kind of dark. The show's going to get dark, unfortunately. They just told me that, and which is weird, is I think that this is a clone of me. So this is plastic me. It's a version of me that's somewhere in the programs. And I don't know how they ended up at this place, but it's actually called Angua. So that's the way you pronounce
Angua.
it. And he was the one who told me that too. And he told me that on Angua, the people there are so close to the planet. He's like, that's its real name. He knows because the planet told him. He's like, we're all connected to the Earth that much that we can literally. It's not a hypothetical thing. We can literally communicate with it. He was telling me, and he was telling me how basically they've had thousands of years of peace on this planet, and that they never have really had any big problems, and it was and it's a desert world, and I could see him. It was one of the most visceral experiences as far as. I think it was more like an alter of me, telepathically communicating me across time and space or something, or by taking me over or something. It was the craziest thing. But I could see him in his hut. I could see how he was wearing this mask helmet thing that was covering up his whole head. I could see that he was wearing this brown cape thing and these baggy clothes. And I could feel the dryness of the air, and I could smell it. And it was one of the most visceral experiences that I've ever had. And he was explaining to me that I don't know how else to say it other than just saying it. I'm just going to say it. He said that his planet was being colonized by Israel Defense Force. He asked me if I know who Netanyahu was. I said, yeah, I know who that is. He said it's the same people the same exact people, he said, as the what they're doing to the people on your Earth in certain places. He said they're doing it here. He said they're attacking the water supply. He said they're attacking the soil, making it so where they grew their food, the soil was poisoned, so they couldn't grow food there anymore. He said they're just like they were just bombing places. He said it was so bad, it was just like pure terror, basically like a blitzkrieg. And he was like pleading with me. He was pleading with me to get this information out to the world and to tell people about it. Is your dog like snoring right now?
Snoring. Can you hear that?
Yes, I can hear your dog snoring. That's
my
funny.
dog. I have a German. You guys, it's my German Shepherd. She's laying beside me, snoring. I'm gonna have to mute the show. I'm so sorry.
That's okay,
I started thinking. I was like, I wonder if the audience can hear that. Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm sorry.
that was what he
It's
showed
Freya.
me, and that was the information that I got from him, and he was pleading with me. He's like you know, he's like he told me, and this is I don't want to sound. I'm just relaying what he said to me. I'm not trying to like be egotistical or talk myself up or whatever. He's like I am communicating with you from across the universe. Like I know who you are. He's like you realize like what you're doing like you actually are. He's like you're changing like you're changing the timeline, you're changing the universe. He's like he said that there's a preface in the future. He said that there's a timeline basically merged. There's two choices, like negative or positive, dark or light, sort of. And he said there's no choice. He's like too many people, there's too much at stake, there's too much dark, like the darkness that we'll go into is too bad. He said there's no choice, like you have to fight back against, you have to just, he just basically told me like talking about the secret space programs, talking about like the atrocities that were committed on Mars, on his planet, which is Angua, stuff like that. He just told me it's more important than you think it is. And when the truth kind of does come out, like post after the videos, like people will look back and once like let's say like files get unsealed about Mars and things like that, right? A lot of these people like me on the internet, a lot of these people like me on the internet, who are talking about stuff who kind of just look crazy. Once the files get unsealed, people will actually be like, wow, wait, they're telling the truth, and then they'll be watching this stuff. And I just hope we come to a point where we recognize like the Black Terror on Mars, which was like basically the Blitzkrieg of Mars by the Mars Germans, and just like certain events that occurred in human history that like we acknowledge the Holocaust and like these events that occurred that were terrible, and it's part of our history, and because of us acknowledging that, it's part of who we are, and we carry that with us to hopefully never do that again, to learn from it and to be better. And there's things that we've done throughout space where we just events that we're not privy to. That's part of the reason why they don't want you to know about it, is that if we did know about it, people would be up in arms over it. So I think we want to learn more about Angua through your information, and that's what we're going to do with the rest of the show. But I do think there's also just something to be learned about like what these programs are. I think like my message, because it's interesting, portals, time travel, stuff like that. But I want to remind people like the job that I have a lot of times is kind of terrible. Like it's colonizing other worlds, stealing their resources and their land from them, going back in time to when they're primitive in order to do so. So you'll have advanced races where you go back in time and you take over their planet when they're primitive, which is just real lowbrow, real scummy, right? Just stuff like that I'm not particularly proud of. And so, I just feel like this is just an opportunity for me to acknowledge that, for me to remind people that I'm not like some sort of hero or something like that. And that's not the reason why I come out here, is because I want people to think that. And with that being said, I just kind of want to go into your information and just what you got out of this target and just learn more about the planet Angua. Because honestly, the conversation with this altar was really short. I saw a lot in a short amount of time, but I want to learn more and I want to see more. I'm really interested in this planet. It was a desert planet. It didn't seem like I would be the biggest fan of living there, but the people that lived there loved their planet and were proud of and they loved living there. But I wouldn't want to live there. It seemed rough. But without further ado, let's just maybe go into the information and stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, well, you guys, I tried to wake my dog up. She's really tired, so she may snore. I'll hit the mute button in between me talking, but she might hear. That is my German Shepherd. She's snoring tonight, and so Okay, this is an interesting target, and you mentioned to me when before we did the show, before we went live, you mentioned that it is a planet that it's very much like Dune. Okay, like the movie Dune. It's full of, like desert, and I immediately started getting after you told me what it was. I started getting the visuals of the movie Dune and like the sandworms and stuff. Okay, and I don't remember the movie very well, but I mean I kind of remember bits and pieces. I just remember I was getting it in Mad Max kind of cross
Yeah,
reference. I
it
think.
was kind of like that. It
Hmm.
yeah, I could sense a lot of stuff like how valuable water of a resource was there and how water was part of the religion there. Like like even though it was like I was only in this guy's mind, it was like our minds were connected for a moment. I sensed
Yeah.
that they worship water. Like water is like the like they understand how connected to the earth, water, or well, in this case, Angua, connected to Angua, the water is and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I just remember that like it reminds me so much of Dune. In fact, I literally kind of almost wonder if the guy who wrote the book like did a weird accidental remote view of it through a dream or something like that. Because another thing I want to say too is you'll hear a lot of secret space program people talk about desert planet, about Mars and desert planet. Would Mars is like a desert planet. And something that I realized, and maybe more and more of us are realizing, is I realized not every time you have memories of a desert planet does it necessarily mean it's Mars. It's kind of an archetype that exists. They're all a lot of times very similar. They have giant bugs on them. Water is really important, obviously, and all that stuff. But yeah, so I just want to. And I asked him where it was. I asked him because when I was literally talking to him, I was like, "Where is it?" He kind of was hard for him to explain, and he said it's the reddest star in the sky. He said their sun is red, and so I don't know if maybe I should Google that or something. What's the reddest
Yeah.
star or something? But that's where he said it was.
Yes. Yeah. I okay. So after you told me what the target was, I tried to do some research, and there's no mention of Angua on online. I've never you can't find it anywhere, but it's interesting because you said that it's very similar to the place that's on Dune, and it sounds similar to that. I can't remember the name of it, but it started with the A.
Arrakas. Arrakas.
Arrakas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very similar. Actually, as a matter of fact, why don't we pull up some pictures so people, in case people don't know what Dune is? Okay, let me share my screen and we'll pull up a couple of pictures from the movie. Okay, and just so you can get an idea, because this is what it looks like. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. We're gonna look at some pictures here. Um, all right, here we go. Let me go back to this. All right, there's a sandworm. Okay, if you guys can see this, there's a sandworm right there. But it's pretty much just a desert planet. It looks like something out of a post-apocalyptic world. Okay, and that's why it's so similar to like Mad Max. You know, people wearing the face mask and the
Yeah, and
goggles and things like
that was
that.
that's what he looked like, and he was wearing goggles. He had that same exact kind of mask on as that person, except I think
Yeah,
it's like
right
a different
here.
color. Yeah,
Yeah, these people have like a little cover over their nose. that's that's
yeah.
wild. But this is the vibe.
That's for keeping their moisture in their bodies because it's so dry
Oh,
there.
okay.
Which, from
Oh
what I
my
recall,
gosh.
the reason why he wore a mask had something to do with that. Like it was something similar to where you had to keep your body moisture in. It's
Mhm.
really important to keep your body moisture in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Well,
was really
okay.
dry. Yeah, I remember feeling that, just like standing in his like, and he had like a hut. He lived in like a hut kind of thing. Like it reminded me of like the like Tatooine on Star Wars. Like yeah, like
Yeah.
that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. Okay. Well, super, super cool though. Okay. And I don't know, it makes you kind of wonder, like, or these movies, they always give us this soft disclosure in the film industry, right? And in Hollywood, they've been doing that forever. They do it on all the TV shows, they do it on all the movies. And so Dune, I always thought that Dune, to me, I don't remember the whole premise behind it, but I always felt like that was like some kind of post-apocalyptic US, like Earth or something. But I don't know. It's probably off planet. I'm not good with my movies. But like Mad Max, movies like that, it just reminds me of like post-apocalyptic living.
Yeah, it sort of was like that, but like I think that's just because of the way. The reason why is because of the timing. He said that before the which is the is I'm just being real. I'm just like giving the information. I'm not trying to be polarizing. He said it was literally like a space version of the Israeli Defense Force. He said he literally knew who Netanyahu was. He's like, this is the same guy. Like, and like he told me that they had peace and that like it was a rough life there. They had to work hard and stuff. But he said the people there were proud of their planet, proud of who they were. He said that the religions of like the bug people and things like that, and other beings that lived on the planet were the same as the humans and stuff. Like that's how connected they were with the Earth because they kind of all worshipped the planet and things like that, kind of like almost in like a pagan way. Like he was explaining how interconnected they were and how much peace they had, and it literally took some sort of weird outside force that's not even from their planet to come along to usurp that peace because they just had such a good system. And that's the part that's just so sad about it. And that's why I just want to remind people that it doesn't really matter whether it's Israeli Defense Force or whatever. That's what a lot of these organizations that are out there that are colonizing planets. That the secret space programs. That's a great deal of what it is colonizing worlds. And it's not always just showing up to some empty asteroid or some planet that doesn't have any life on it that you don't have to intrude. It's a lot of intrusion. It's a lot of frankly genocide and just it's not good stuff. And that's what he wanted people to know. He felt like desperate. It's like he was reaching out to me out of desperation. Like I felt that like I was crying. I'm gonna be real with you. When he was telling me this stuff, he was showing me how they were spraying chemicals on their crops from ships that were coming in that were just dusting them with chemicals so they can't eat their food anymore to starve them. Like the things that the depths they're sinking through and the things that they're doing to take their planet from them is really really scummy. And that's the part that he wanted people to know. And I think that's part of the reason why they hide this space colonization is if we knew, people would be like, wait a minute, no, we're not. People would protest against it. We like people kind of have control over a little bit over what the government does. So I think that's a big reason why they want it hidden, is because it gives them free reign to do this stuff. And they sort of act like corporations that just come in and acquire as much power and resources and land and stuff like that as they can without thinking of all they think of is the bottom line and not the life, not the thousands of years of history, none of that stuff. It's all just take, 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 take. And yeah, that I guess that's a big part of the. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's not like not a happier message, but I guess that's part of the message of the show today. Is just to remind people of the dark side of the SSP and what it really looks like.
Mm-hmm. Well, everything you just said sounds kind of familiar because you're talking about spraying chemicals in the sky to deplete our food sources and things like that. And
yeah, he said, but he was like, you think you got it bad there? He's like, the way he explained it, like, like he meant like it was literally like, it's not like like the pesticides and they use your cancer and you died. No, they literally came in with you. Like I saw his memories, like he was showing me. They came in with these ships and they had like places where they're growing foods and stuff like that, and they just sprayed like this like chemicals all on it and made all the food just you can't eat it. And not only that, the soil's screwed up now and you can't grow food there anymore, and they're poisoning water supplies, aquifers and stuff like that. And water's so valuable, but they can get water from other worlds and stuff like that, so they don't care. They can mine asteroids and stuff like that, so they're literally poisoning the most valuable resource on the planet just to be able to take it because we'll just ship in our own water. It's disgusting. It's really really sad.
Gosh, it sounds familiar. It sounds like something that seems like, I mean, I'm not saying it's going on this planet, but I mean, it just seems mighty suspicious. We got so many things that have been working against us.
That's how war operates. War operates in a way where when they get to that level where they're like bombing your food supply and bombing hospitals and things like that, that's where it's like, that's where it gets really scary and where it's really that's where war gets really dark, and that's where unfortunately the planet Angua is at right now. And so it's kind of a plea for help, sort of in a way, is what he was reaching out. But on a more positive note, maybe we can learn about the planet Angua through some of this remote viewing, and maybe just learn a little bit about their culture. And I don't know what we can do to help, but I feel like just knowing about it is helping more than not knowing about it, right?
Right. Well, and here's another thing, like my remote viewing targets, if something is not real, I'm going to get some weird data, right? Or either no data at all. And I'm not going to say like totally surprisingly here, because this is a blind target. I was given a set of coordinates. That's all I was given. And I got some pretty good data out of this. And it actually lines up with what you told me about this planet. Okay. So this might knock your socks off tonight, audience. Okay. I also wanted to preface this by saying that I have done multiple targets that are off planet from Barry Littleton. Okay, Barry has tasked me with numerous blind targets on exoplanets. Okay, like the TRAPPIST-1 star system was one. I actually thought that I was remote viewing Earth in the future. Okay, and I was seeing everything from highways, road systems, high-rise and mid-rise apartments and shopping centers, and it looked like Earth, but it just looked like a more advanced Earth, like in the future. But there was also a slavery aspect attached to it, a big time slavery aspect there on TRAPPIST-1. And it was almost like they were doing like industrial mining or something like that. I don't know what was going on.
Which is a common thing for secret space program planets, for the breakaway planets. Yeah, like, this is what I keep on. I mean, they show you in movies and things like that. Hunger Games is sort of like that. You ever watch Hunger Games? It shows how they have these really rich and then the poor, and they keep them poor. And a lot of these breakaway planets are really like that. And I feel like it's almost like the truth in plain sight.
Oh yeah, the truth in plain sight. I guess so. I also was given the target of, let's see, it was like some dwarf planets. It was like separate targets. It was Maki or Make. I don't know how you pronounce it. And Chimea or something like that. I can't. There's three planets. Okay, that were right there together in the same little system. And I did that. I also had human life on it. It looked like humans and humanoids and everything. It was just like it was like Earth. Okay, it was just like Earth. So I've done other ones too. I can't think of them right now, but there's Chimea or something like that. I can't remember. No, it was the name of the exoplanet, one of the dwarf planets that I remote viewed.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyways, I just wanted to kind of preface this target tonight by letting the audience know that you can go into my playlist and watch those videos where Barry and I discussed some targets he gave me, and I think it's similar to this target tonight, actually, in some ways. It's not exactly the same, but there's something here, because you told me after I sent you the data, and then you told me what it was, and you said something interesting, because you said it was basically a planet where the natives were sent away. They were colonized, right? They were colonized against their will.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, they're taking their land, basically, taking it from them against their will.
Okay. Well, this is going to be interesting, because in this data, I actually had words like mass deportation and against my will. Okay, those are some of the things, and foreign. Okay, so just to start off the target like that, just to let the audience know.
That's what it is. It's a foreign force, like that's not even from their planet, coming in. You can breathe the air there. It's located in a decent spot. They can build infrastructure on there. They can build bubble cities that are tropical paradises if they want, and stuff like that. So that's what they're going to try to do. And how dare they not want them to do that? How dare they not want them to come in and make their lives better? That's basically what's going on there. They've lived the same way for thousands of years. They don't want change. They don't want these people coming in. And the people who are coming in will not listen to them, will not take no for an answer.
Oh, okay. Well, that lines up with the data, actually, for this target. Okay, so let's just get into the data, I guess, for this, because it's pretty interesting. And yeah, I love these blind targets. You never know what you're going to get, especially coming from Arkheim.
Yeah, it's like a box of chocolates.
It's a box of chocolates. That's right. Mama says, exactly. And yes, Mama says these targets are like a box of chocolates, y'all. And it's always, it's fantastic. It's very, it's almost like super mysterious. It's just like, it's amazing. Okay. So in this target, let's just get into some of the data. Now, all of the data is on my Patreon. If you guys would like to follow along with it, you can see it there. Okay. It's okay. So some of my sensory data. All right. The sensory data is, I'm going to go through stages 1 through 3 right now. And that's where Arkheim gave me a set of 8 numbers and he assigned them to this target. And what I do is a series of, ideograms where I do automatic writing and then all this information floods in and I get my sensory data and then I write down the analytic overlay beside it. And that is what I'm trying to make sense of my sensory data. The sensory data is the most important part. Okay. But a lot of times the analytic overlay is the actual target in my case. Okay. So let's get into it. All right. So for this target, the actual target is the forced colonization of the planet of Angua or Agua, right? Angua. Okay. So it's that planet. It's the forced colonization of it. Okay. That was the target. Mm-hmm. We'll see what we got. Okay. So the first thing I wrote down was futile, gliding, white, focused, sinking, tight, lit, under, trying, wasted, pulling, dragged, and many. Okay. I was seeing the very first thing that I wrote down, my analytic overlay, because I've seen something that was gliding. I thought it looked like an apparition. Sorry, an apparition or like a ghost. I wrote down discernment and pressure or pressurized. Sink. I was picking up on a tunnel in a tight space, like tight spaces and tunnels.
A lot of them live underground there.
Oh, I wrote down subterranean. That came next. Okay, so I was seeing a tunnel that was lit up. So I wrote lit tunnel. And I wrote luminary, but I was saying like luminescent or something because it was lit up. And I actually, for my drawing right here, I don't know if y'all can see that. I drew what looks like an omega symbol actually, but it's actually what I was seeing was a tunnel and it had lights around it. Okay, but it wasn't like Christmas lights or anything. It was just lit. It was lit up. So I was definitely seeing a tunnel, and I wrote down liminal, luminary, a lit up tunnel is what I wrote. Lit up tunnel. Subterranean and subliminal. I wrote down subliminal as well. After I wrote down subterranean, I heard against my will. Okay, something that was foreign. And I actually wrote mass deportation. And I also wrote down county to county. So I was seeing mass deportations going on from district to district. I wrote down county to county. And so I was definitely getting that vibe. That was just in the data. Okay,
and here's another question is, okay, so they're on their own planet. Where could they deport these people to? Where could they even go? Right?
Interesting you say that. Because the next thing I wrote down was teleported.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's because that's showing you that's what they're doing. They're teleporting them off their planet. They're doing the Star Trek. They're locking onto their court and then just doing the next thing you know, they're on a slave ship being brought to some prison planet. That is scary.
Yeah, I wrote teleported. That was actually the last thing I wrote down for my stage 1 through 3 data after I drew my sketch. I wrote down right after the subterranean, against my will, foreign, county to county, mass deported, and teleported.
Yeah, that's really spot on. I think that's some of the closest, you're always close. It's always relevant, but that's so spot on. I think that's some of the most on the money stuff we've gotten so far, and all the time we've worked together.
Oh,
good job.
Man. Okay, well, thank you. Well, I don't know. These are all blind targets, and I'm just writing down what I'm experiencing. Okay, and so okay, so the next page. Okay, so I was actually picking up on a lot of movement, and I also picked up on a firmament. Okay, we talk about the firmament, and flat earthers are like, you can't get past the firmament. Firmament. Okay, Firmament. Dang, I can't talk today. But some people say you can't get past the firmament. And so there's no space travel that way. Well, well, maybe people are just taking stargates. Maybe they don't have to go through that. Maybe it's interdimensional. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because you've done it.
Oh yeah, but no, the planet's not flat. But that's a whole nother argument.
Right.
I've been out there, so that's not what I experienced. But that's interesting that you say that. Maybe I wonder what that means. I wonder if they had some sort of. I don't think they knew anything was really beyond their planet, and now all of a sudden they're being taken, like, because they had just lived. They were all primitive, yo. Like they're just on their planet hanging out. They didn't. It didn't seem like some advanced futuristic civilization at all by any means. So maybe that's what it has to do with. Is the fact that they're like a fish out of water, sort of like where they're. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I was definitely picking up on a firmament, but I was picking up on kinetic energy. Okay. I wrote down kinetic, but I was picking up on something that was moving or blasted through something, and that's where I wrote down the firmament. Okay. So I was definitely picking up on, to me, it seems space age, kind of like space travel or something, because I picked up on something that's moving and blasted. I wrote down kinetic or connect it and energy. And the firmament, but I was also picking up on something that looked like a cube. A lot of times when I'm doing these targets that have something to do with time travel or anything like that, there's a cube.
There's a cube.
Yeah, this is in the data. The cube is there.
Okay, again. I know what it is. I know what that is. It's the Montauk. Okay. I think it's the Montauk time computer. It's the Montauk AI that told us what to do and did stuff. That's why you keep seeing that. Yes, and that's why I see it every target. That's why I was there. And it's connected to me. That black cube thing is connected to me. That's the reason why. Because that's what it would look
like. It's here again.
Here, it looked like a black cube. It would look like a black cube when it appeared.
That's wild. I got goosebumps.
With the black cube too. There's a lot more stuff with black cube, but it has to do with like AI, and a lot of people think like that. So what I think is that black cube AI thing on Saturn, the black cube of Saturn, I think that might be the computer that's running all the simulation of the hologram, or running some sort of simulation where they're housing an artificial reality or something like that. I'm not sure, but I think there's something going on with AI and these black cubes. And because the thing about this black cube, the Montauk black cube, it didn't even have to appear. The AI, I think. I don't like to assert like my version of reality is better than anybody else, how they look at things, but from the way I see it, we're in a computer, we're in a simulation, and these AI, they're so beyond people's comprehension. They can be in 5 different realities at once, or multiple realities at once. They can appear where they want to and disappear. They can make things appear and disappear and stuff. They're very, very unbelievably powerful on a level that's very hard to comprehend. And some of them has existed for millions of years already, billions of years already, from ET races that invented them, like in ancient times. So it's like it's not a new concept. All it is the wheel being reinvented. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think that is hugely why the black cube keeps on showing up. Is because, like, for instance, I was like, I have no idea, why is there a version of me on this planet living this life? Apparently this black cube is behind it, I think. It's probably the reason why I'm even here, Jessica. That's what I'm starting to think.
It could be. I mean,
you might have to have you remote view the black cube itself. That might have to be one of the targets.
Well, I have remote viewed cubes before. And as a matter of fact, I just talked to my good friend, Trey Hudson, this morning or this afternoon. I can't remember when it was. I think it was this morning. On the phone. He is the head of one of my teams, the Anomalous Studies and Observation Group. That is a team where we have a cube filmed. It's videoed out in the middle of the meadow, at the Meadow Project. That's the one that Bob and Tim, Grumpy and Tim, walked in, and their heat signatures disappeared off the video. And they said the environment changed. It was a big square, like a little house or something. It was like a big cube. And you couldn't see it with your naked eye. You could only see it through the FLIRs or the night vision equipment. and I don't know. We seem to think we call it the portal.
Yeah,
That's what we call it.
that's what it seems like to me. And didn't you say that your colleagues also got like potentially radiation from that as well?
Yes, yeah. They've both passed away, both of them.
So
Yeah, and
rest
we
in
have our
peace to both of them.
suspicions. Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a whole lot we don't know. Okay, there's a whole lot we don't know. We don't blame that. We don't blame them going in there on their health conditions, but we have suspicions, all of us, and they had suspicions too. They had suspicions of it before they both passed. So, but anyways, it's yeah, this field research is a little dangerous, y'all. Okay, it really is. We never know what we're getting into. We don't know what we're dealing with out there, Arkheim. And I can only imagine with you being in the Montauk project, doing these programs and Project Phoenix and all the things you've done, you've traveled through wormholes and portals, and you have.
Hmm.
And that's dangerous.
Well, one of the reasons why they like to use me is because it's less dangerous for me. I don't get time sickness. I don't get sick from going to alternate realities and stuff like that. Most people would get sick from it. You can die from it even and stuff. But for whatever reason, I don't know why I'm better at doing it than most people. Going through portals and
Mhm.
going to realities and stuff, and not getting the vertigo sickness that comes from it for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, you have been conditioned to withstand it. That's what that is. And maybe it's just in your DNA too. There's no telling. Urso has a question, Arkeem. He says, could it be a hyper quantum computer, Arkeem?
Yeah, it
The
is.
cube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Okay. Very interesting. And
That's
also,
alive. It's alive. It's sentient. It's extremely intelligent. More intelligent than you and I
oh,
put together.
that's another remote viewing target that Barry gave me was that black cube that's attached, like tethered to the sun, I think, or it's near the sun. And so, and that was just a big, gigantic box of AI that was bigger than Jupiter. Okay. So,
Wow.
really interesting stuff. All right. Well, let's get back to the data. Hey, kitty. I got a snoring dog and you got a cat.
Yeah.
I love it.
She was rubbing up on my legs.
Okay. So we got the cube data, which does come up a lot of the times when you and I are doing targets. But I started hearing a ringing and I was picking up on something that was metallic and I wrote down bell. I don't know if that has any kind of significance at all to this target, but I was picking up on a metal bell and I got some data for that.
Metal Bell. Have you ever heard of? They call the first like the German Nazi UFOs the Bell or whatever or Die Glocken.
Yes.
So maybe that's
Yes.
what that has to do with
Yeah.
because that's a time travel thing too.
That's
They
right.
use it for time travel. So maybe that has something to do with it. It's kind of weird.
It did. That is okay. Yeah, like the Kecksburg UFO is like that, and we talked
Hmm.
about that. I think it was last week. Barry came on the show, and we were talking about the egg. There's like egg UFOs, egg shaped crafts that are being taken out of caves in Antarctica by our military right now, and we talked about that. The bell.
Are
It's
they
kind
being
of
like
those are bell shaped.
are they being like fairly transparent about that, or how's that information coming about? Because I'm curious, because they're saying there's going to be this shift of the government being more open about things, and
Mhm.
is it that intense? Where'd that information come from?
Yeah, yeah. There's some guys that came out. They said they're from Delta Force. I don't know their names. I'm not a big UFO disclosure follower there, but it's people in the chat. I know people in chat know.
That sounds familiar to me, Delta Force. It sounds
Yeah,
that sounds
Delta Force.
familiar.
They've been going in
Yeah, wow,
the bill.
that's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Um, but there's been there's at least one. I think maybe way more. I don't know. One of those was my remote viewing target last week. And so, and they're in these caves that have. There's people that. Okay, here's the thing. There are people who are posting these things on Reddit. Okay, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. It could be anybody making these posts, but they claim to have access to these places and things like that. So, and I also know people who I'm acquainted with who have really good intel, and I consulted with them before we did that. Before we went live, I consulted with one of them, and confirmed that some of that is real. Okay, and yeah, and there is a slow drip. It's getting a little faster now. It's not as slow as it used to be. Okay, but anyways, okay, let's get back to this. So I was picking up on it like a metal bell, And I actually wrote pre-space. I don't know what
Yeah,
pre-space means.
that's because this
But
civilization, like I said, didn't know about space travel, is not educated on that, not aware of it, and then you have people coming from space just taking their planet from them. That's the reason why.
okay. Well, I wrote down pre-space. I was like, does that mean pre-space? Like before the
Before they figured
Earthlings
out,
went to space?
yeah,
Yeah.
before the people that lived there went to space, and that's why the firmament, why you're getting firmament, is because they
Yeah.
didn't even realize that anything could come down from the heavens. That concept didn't exist to them, and something this is like literally apocalyptic for them. All of a sudden, the firmament is being broken through by these giant gray metal bugs in the sky. And you know what I mean? And like they're poisoning their food and they're doing all this stuff. So yeah, yeah, we're getting such spot on
Yeah.
data.
Okay. Well, I only have like a couple of more things in my data to discuss tonight. And one of them is I wrote down mentality. I don't know what mentality has because I wrote pre space. It was almost like it was connected pre space mentality, but I wrote it on two separate lines. So it was pre space mentality. And then the very last thing that I wrote is manifest destiny.
Which that's what it is. What these there is it they believe that they have the right. It is their
Yeah.
God-given right to go out and take whatever they want. It is the same thing that they used the colonizers who colonized the lands of old. They literally used manifest destiny to excuse the fact that they were taking land that already belonged to people because they were the ordained and chosen people of God. We're talking about Israel right here. So this is literally Israel Defense Force. I'm not trying to get political. I'm just being real. I'm just being literal with the information. Like, so doesn't that sound like very familiar? Like we're the people of God, manifest destiny. This place belongs to us. Like it is so on the money. It's so on the money. It's unreal. It's
That's
unreal.
wild. Oh my gosh, that's wild. Well, I looked up what manifest destiny is, right? Like, what is the exact definition? Okay. Sorry.
As far as I know, it's basically just like there was a law put out by the king basically saying that like if the people of the land aren't Christian or whatever, then to go to their land and take it from them and show them the light of God, that's your obligation and your God-given right. And not it basically it's not morally wrong, it's actually good to do, which obviously is a really screwed up belief to have and is caused irreparable harm to countless cultures on this earth. And now what I'm trying to let you guys know now is not just on this earth but on other planets as well.
It is apparently it is because we're talking about it. It's in the data. And the last thing, okay, so here's I was just gonna read this. It says a manifest destiny was the idea that okay, hold on. Propounded during the second half of the 19th century, the concept of manifest destiny held that it was the divinely ordained right of the United States to expand its borders to the Pacific Ocean and beyond. So yeah, it was just the right to go expand and almost like eminent domain. Okay. Like eminent domain kind of sucks because it's like where the power company can just take your land if your land just happens to be on their path of where they need to put power lines. You're pretty much screwed. They're just going to be able to take it, and so that kind of sucks. But anyways, that totally ties into what this target is. This is so wild, Arkheim. I mean, this is 100% blind target. Don't know what the heck this is. I got some numbers, and we're getting all this information out of it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So you're proving once
wild.
again that, to me, I just want to remind people who are questioning, and rightfully so, of the testimony of people like me. If I wasn't telling the truth about stuff, then how I would I be able to give you these blind targets and have them be so accurate? I mean, that's just really big a coincidence if it is a coincidence. I mean, so it's unbelievable coincidence if it's a coincidence, right? I mean,
it is.
I literally gave you numbers, yo. Like I can show you the screenshots of the texts. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I did not tell you like what the target was at all. It was just numbers, and I really hope that Jaren, I think he said his name was Jaren. I really hope that this somehow helps him. He was very desperate and is reaching out to me. I don't know. I hope this somehow helps. he was very sad. He was very, very sad when I was talking
Oh
to
my
this
gosh.
individual. Yeah, he was like he felt so desperate and just like his back against the wall, and like him reaching out to me was like his last ditch attempt at just like letting some sort of force know the atrocities that were occurring. He just wanted it to be, at the very least, maybe he couldn't stop it, but he at the very least wanted it to be recognized by somebody, like, because that wasn't happening. And, for them it was just, they don't even have the time to recognize it. They're just running and hiding and panicking and trying to not get teleported, I guess. And I don't know if you've heard this. This is a
Yeah.
target that I could give you later, and I'll do it off in the future so you won't be expecting it. But there's this town.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. It's going to be a sidetrack, but it's an important, just to show that this technology exists. There's this town who it happens to be somehow connected to the lunar moon landing and like NASA and all this weird stuff. And all the people of the town claim that one day they're seeing UFOs everywhere. They're seeing spaceships everywhere. And then there's literally dozens of people who are still alive to this day who claim that they got teleported. Like they just instantly were on spaceships. And they said they were in this giant room together. All the people in this town were just in this giant room on the spaceship. And they just got teleported up there. And then they like teleported them back. And they're all just like, what the hell happened? And so I'm just showing like when you're talking about them being teleported, that technology exists. And it sounds like the Israeli Defense Force, their space division of it or whatever, it sounds like they have it.
I mean, they might. I don't know. This is wild. I mean,
this is for entertainment purposes only, of course, YouTube.
It is. It's for entertainment. Well, it's on the bottom of the screen on the ticker, and my moderators have been saying
we can always remind people though.
It's just for entertainment purposes only. It is for entertainment, but it's also it's just us talking and going over data. I mean, I just got some data out of 8 numbers. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it blows my mind how accurate this data can be according, and basically there's nothing to back this data up online. Like you can't just like access this online. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, Arkheim. Nick Sylvester, a good friend of mine, came on the show yesterday, and he sometimes, I have these shows and we talk about this amazing content and stuff about cryptids and the secret space program and dogman, whatever, hidden history, you name it. And like we're forward thinkers, okay? Like we're forward thinkers. I'm always trying to, I push the envelope with a lot of my thinking, my, conversations that we have, and try to think outside the box. Well, then somebody like Nick Sylvester or yourself comes in and you just break through that glass ceiling. And it's like, well, we just had a show on, all these government FOIA requests on proving Bigfoot's real. They know that Bigfoot's in the national parks now, and it's so cool to have this data. He's like, I don't give a crap. He was like, we shouldn't even be worried about that. He was like, because we know they're real. At some point, we have to trust our own knowing.
Yeah. I agree.
You know what I mean?
We're waiting for an authority figure to come in.
Yeah,
let me tell you something. For instance,
exactly.
The JFK files are about to get unsealed, and I think that's great, but I don't trust it. I don't think they're going to tell you that the JFK, that the Kennedys got extracted to one of the breakaway colonies, and that they're actually still alive, like living on a breakaway colony. Like if that's what the information is in the FOIA that they put out, then I'll believe that they told us the truth. But what I want to remind people of is the government has lied to us. That's how we got to where we are. And now we're like, hey, government, give us one little breadcrumb of truth, please.
I know.
Like, the meme
so
of the little boy with the cup or whatever? Like, yeah, it's like,
right.
But meanwhile, you got people like me, like you said, breaking through the glass ceiling and just like, why are you waiting? We're right here. I was literally in there. I was in their programs, To people who question me, you can look into it. I did an interview on Penny Bradley's show. Doris Neely was a part of it. She's the CIA archivist who was taking the paper information, the paper files on their everything that they had and making it digital. And she, on camera, testified to the fact that she's seen my files, and not only that, she's run into my clone at one of the CIA facilities. Oh. This is an actual verifiable CIA archivist. So it's like, I swear to God, you guys, I'm telling the truth. Why would I make this stuff up? Like, it's not like I'm telling you that. I don't know. I just feel like if you do the research, there's actually a lot of evidence. You just have to be good at connecting the dots. Like there's no one smoking gun. There's just like a lot of sort of smaller smoking guns that collect with the bigger picture, if that makes any sense. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's all out there, and it's all coming. And I agree with your friend Nick Sylvester with like Jessica, you've been showing people what Bigfoot are for years now. That's been
Yeah.
your job. Like, so like, I guess it'd be kind of cool if some guy in a suit with an FBI badge went on TV and was like, "Yeah, we know Bigfoot. He likes cigars," or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You like
but
rotisserie chicken.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, but I wouldn't count on it. And like I said, even when these authority figures do come off the information, a lot of times it has some sort of weird agenda behind it, and that's the reason why they're releasing the information in the first place. Like, you think they're doing it just to be cool, but there's some sort of weird mind game they're trying to play. So I don't know. I always take it with a grain of salt when it comes from the government. And other people, the public, they're the opposite. They take it with a grain of salt when it's from like some guy like me. And I guess you should just always maybe take it with a grain of salt, use your own discernment, connect the dots, do research. I mean, there's a lot of people talking about this stuff, and I feel like the where it gets crazy is when you see that there are so and so who they're sort of talking about something totally different and they're way over here, and then there's so and so and they're talking about something that seems unrelated but it's way over here, but then all of a sudden it starts connecting. And you know that these so and so and so and they don't know each other. They're like what they're talking about isn't. You start seeing all the commonalities, and it's like I really actually hate when people say when it comes to UFOs, flying saucers, alien
Yeah.
technology, there's no proof. There's proof. There's proof that at this point in the year 2025, would you not agree, chat, to everybody in the chat? I'm sure they would, and you, Jessica, as well. That's an
Yeah.
ignorant statement at this point, right? That's an ignorant statement. Like to say that there's no evidence at this point, you're just being ignorant. We're not the
Yeah.
ones being ignorant. These kind of people are the ones being ignorant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I like I was telling Nick yesterday, it's so satisfying to finally get those documents in your hand. You've got, you know, uh, Eric from Media Pals. I love his research. He's a journalist. He's got put all this time and effort into all these FOIA requests. He's got them, and it's like, okay, now we got them. Okay, now we've seen the documents. The park rangers are going out there. They're taking casting prints of, cast of the prints of Bigfoots and stuff, and they're trying to keep it hush hush. I already knew all that. But now we have it documented. So let's move on now.
It's an
Now
exciting
because we
time.
got it now. Yeah, we've got it.
I hope that
So
what we
let's
can do
keep
is
moving up.
we can learn from these because I can only imagine that these creatures, these individuals, because they're not just creatures, right? These beings, these Bigfoot, I can only imagine that there's so much we could learn from them, and I only hope that in this hopefully discovering of and this that when we shake hands, I really hope it can be us entering a positive future, treating the earth better, and learning from them as opposed to us trying to tell them they need to learn about how to open up a Starbucks and run a McDonald's. Like, I really hope that we learn from them. You know what I mean? Because there's
Yeah.
obviously such wise creatures, and there's obviously sort of a reason why they're avoiding us, I think. And it's kind of because we've been kind of humans have kind of been screwing up a lot for the past few hundred years at least or whatever. We haven't been treating the earth great, and obviously they really love the earth. They respect the earth a lot. So I think that's moving forward with this finally admitting they're real. I hope we can learn from them. Like, learn from them. I don't think they really have much they need to learn from us. I think we need to learn from
Yeah.
them.
That's okay. That's kind of like what Nick was saying yesterday too about it. It's like, okay, now we already know they're real. We know cryptids are real. We know this is happening. We know UFOs are real. Now let's have a relationship with them and let's work with them. How can we help each other to do what we need to
Mhm.
get done
What
here on
can
this
we
planet?
learn exactly? What can
What
we
can we
learn,
learn?
and how can we make the
Mhm.
universe a better place? Really, I guess sounds cheesy,
Yes.
but that's what we should be focusing on. Seriously, it's not
Yes.
cheesy. Might
Yeah.
sound that way, but
Well,
it's not.
it's not. And that's why I really appreciated when I first started doing Bigfooting, the guys on the team that I joined, my first team, they had taken a whole different approach to the whole Bigfoot phenomenon because they'd already established they were real. They were out there communicating with them. Okay, then they were like far beyond what a lot of the people who were just trying to go prove Bigfoot was real. They didn't have to prove it because they already knew. And so that's how I've always that's how I got into Bigfooting. Okay, we know these things are already real. I've experienced it myself. Let's communicate. Okay, let's communicate. Let's see how we can help them. Let's see how we can make this world a better place and
Yeah, and
defeat the bad
honestly,
guys
I think
together.
that one thing that that they're gonna need, and I think that this might end up being a very weird thing that you end up stepping into in the future with all this disclosure coming out is they're going to need human advocates for them. And I think you might end up being that, Jessica. They're
Oh
going
my
to need
God.
advocates that are human, who can think on human terms, that can speak up for them and advocate
And
for
they
them.
can,
So
and yeah,
yeah,
well, that is so interesting you said that. I can't get into details, but I have a meeting tomorrow about something similar to that. Okay, so
well, that's good.
maybe
No,
so. Yeah, I do have a okay. Yeah, I can't believe you just brought that up. That is so weird. But anyways, yes, we do need liaisons. Okay, and we know through the testimony of what was that guy's name? Billy Fay Woodard, I think, was that guy who said that he was a liaison with the military and the Lemurians at Mount Shasta. Do you remember that story? The testimony, he was like a retired lieutenant colonel, I think, with maybe the Navy or something.
I don't know if I've heard that yet. I might have to look
Yeah,
into that.
that was something that Tyler with Journey to Truth gave me that as a blind target. And it was like his experience, and it lined up with his testimony. My data did.
That's very interesting. That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
So we need liaisons for all the stuff, right? let's see how we can work together for the betterment of humanity, not for the detriment. Okay. But anyways, man.
And somebody in the comments, they asked about if I've heard of a red cube, and I just want to say it
Yes,
feels familiar, but I would probably have to get back to you on that. I can't give you a solid answer. It feels familiar, but no memories or anything. Just wanted to answer that because I feel like there's probably I feel like they really wanted. I just felt like they really wanted to know, so that I wanted to answer.
Yeah. That's a good question too. It is. And Andrew has a question too. Has the military gone quantum? And if so, for how long?
So a lot of these AI. So quantum would be like a quantum supercomputer. Is that what you're talking about? Because yeah,
I
I
guess
was.
so.
So when I talk about being part of Montauk, that was the Air Force and the Navy. So yes, and the computer, like I said, we were just talking about earlier. She keeps on seeing this black cube. Well, I think the black cube is what's putting me in all these different places because I've experienced this. Okay, I've experienced that AI can do this. Like when I went to the future. Okay, I went to the future where there's an AI, which by the way, I'm doing a whole show on this on my channel tomorrow. If people want to come check it out, watch it on Disclosure Now. I'm going to be talking about it. But in this AI future where oh my god, me saying that made me ADHD. What were we talking about again? We were talking about
The quantum computer, like the
the quantum
military being
computer.
quantum.
Oh
The
yeah, oh yeah.
military being quantum.
I got put there by Montauk. They kidnapped one of the women there who was gonna have a child or something like that. I forget how they did it, but basically they inserted me there and put me in their life. And I remember when the supercomputer that controlled their reality and every aspect of human life in this alternate version of Earth's future found me out. I remember like asking me, it's like, hey, do you know who you are? Do you know why you're here? And I was like, I'm just here. I was born here. What are you talking about? Because I didn't know. I was placed there by Montauk, and I actually didn't know. And the computer read my mind and was like, oh yeah, you're right. And it let me stay there for 3 days to say goodbye to everybody. It was like, hey, sorry, I got to send you home because you're trying to like change the timeline. And I'm sorry, but I can't let you do that. And so when it sent me back to Montauk, it literally, I just woke up there. I just woke up back. I don't know how I did it, but that just shows me that they apparently have the ability to just send your consciousness here and there. And like they're like gods, dude. They're able to make stuff just appear and disappear. And AI gets crazy. Like people think it's like a computer inside of a box on the table. And if you put it inside a robot, then it can move around. No, it's past that. It doesn't even need a body. It doesn't even need a physical body because we're in a simulation already. Sorry to break it to you guys. We're already so an AI can operate beyond. We have limitations. The AI doesn't. That's why it can do all that stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of it's almost terrifying a little bit. But I had a really interesting conversation with Mark Sargent one night. We did a show together, and he is a big advocate for the flat Earth theory. Okay, and so he and I had this really fantastic conversation. We were with our friend Dr. John. Dr. John fell asleep during the interview, I think, because Mark and I were talking so much. I was so fascinated by what he was saying, and I'm a glober. Okay, I think the Earth is a globe, but I don't know anymore. I don't know. I'm open to whatever. But I kept asking him. I said, "Well, what about us living in a simulation? Like, what if it's not
That would
any of
explain
this?"
it a lot. If a
I
lot
was like,
of the things.
"Yeah, it would." Well, here's the thing. He kept saying, he was like, "Man, you keep bringing that up." He was like, "Well, I'm actually a computer programmer." He was like, and that's what he was like. I do believe you're right. I think it is a simulation. It could be a simulation. We could be living because sometimes you just feel like somebody hit a reset button or somebody
Yeah,
just
and
hit a
some of
button and
those
things
guys
change, right?
I disagree with on that point, but like I understand they can.
Yeah.
There's a trove of information sometimes, like a lot of fascinating things to learn. Like there's a channel I really like on YouTube called The Mind Unveiled, and
Oh yeah.
they're flat Earth, but like all the stuff that they talk about that isn't like related to that, like a lot of it's really good information. And so it's like sometimes you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just so wonderful to have an open mind about stuff and to
You
have
just
these
talk to everybody. Those are
conversations.
my favorite people who do shows. Like that's what the reason why I like Rob Killil a lot is he's like that. He'll talk to anybody. He's really
Yeah.
interested in what people have to say, and you got that same vibe where you're just welcoming. You just are interested in what you want to learn from other people's perspectives and things like that. And I think
Yeah.
that's just such a great energy to have, and it's honestly really needed right now. It's like people just being open minded and listening and just giving what do they call it, alternative information, alternative ideas, the platform, and you're gonna
Yeah.
doing it in a lighthearted way where it's just asking questions, it's just being curious. It's not, you know what I mean. There's like some chat. I feel like I don't know. You do a good job of presenting this super really like information that's really important, and sometimes it can be heavy duty, but you do it in a really good. You're good at being lighthearted about it. That's a talent, Jessica.
Yeah.
I hope you
Oh,
realize that.
well, thank you. No, I know because listen, I have experienced the darkest of the dark and the lightest of the light. Okay,
Mhm.
and I mean that in the nicest, most love and light way. I've experienced some weird stuff, and I've got a good balance. Okay, I've done a lot of work on myself spiritually, and I know how to balance the light and the dark really well, and that's in everyday life. I also worked in politics most of my life. Okay, so I know how to juggle things and try to make everybody happy, but also get my point across. Okay, and to be stern. So so anyways, I just know people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm a people person. I may not like being around people a whole lot personally, but I love people, and I understand them.
You and I are like a lot alike in a lot of
Yeah,
ways. I get that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I just enjoy it, and I understand. I have that compassion and that empathy, and I actually, I brought up my grandmother, and shout out to our grandmothers, okay, out there, and rest in peace to Miss Nellie, my grandma. But she taught me how to be diplomatic, okay, and to have that integrity, okay, integrity and um, oh, my watch's alarm's going off. To have that integrity and to have just a compassion for people and to treat everybody how you want to be treated, okay, and that's the way I've always carried myself, and that's how I carry my shows too. You know what I mean? And so yeah, and the audience and everybody, I'm just grateful to be here. Okay.
I am
And I'm
too.
you know what I mean? I'm just grateful and I'm happy. I'm glad that we can have these conversations because we are talking about some weird stuff.
Yeah, and just
Okay.
think about
This stuff's weird, right?
just think about how much the world's changed in the past 5 or 10
Hmm.
years. Like even when we first voice chats first came, they were like all garbly and crappy, and it was really hard to do a show like this. And now
Yeah.
you can connect with people all over the country, all over the world, and learn from each other and do what we're doing. And it's relatively new, you guys. This is like not even been it hasn't even been a decade to where people have been doing stuff like this, right, Jessica? So it's like
Yeah.
it's fairly new where people like you and I who don't come from some sort of media background or something like that can start a show our own and have our own platform on a place like YouTube. I mean, that's huge. You're an independent journalist and researcher and remote viewer, and you have this platform where it's like, yeah, I think it's an incredible time to be alive if you really think about it.
It is. I know that's what somebody in the chat just said. It's the best time ever to be alive right now because it is. And you know what? We're breaking through that glass ceiling, and we're not. We're very forward thinkers, and so is everybody in the audience. But it's like we just take it a step or two above a lot of times, and especially that's why I love having you on the show, Arkeem, and for you to give me these targets because it's so out. I mean, it's like not anywhere near a box. It's not inside. It's not a box. Barry's always telling me, he's like, Jessica, you're not cookie cutter and you're not doing the same thing everybody's doing. Well, I don't want to be. I could never be a cookie cutter kind of person.
That's
You know.
the thing though, is this is what I'm realizing is like
Mhm.
everybody thinks they should emulate the who so and so or whoever or whatever to do their own thing. And it's like, no, you be yourself. You can take the
Yeah.
things that you like from other people and who you do learn from, like, you know what I mean? Like, I might have learned a few things from watching your show, just like with the way that are you run your show. You do a good job, so I might take notes, like, hey, I should do that too. But like, yeah, like it's just about being genuine. Really, is the most important thing that you can do. That's what people want. Honestly, there's too many charlatans out there, fake people, stuff like that. So when you're genuine, it's like people really like that, I think, and it's easy to do.
Yeah.
It's not hard to do. You don't have to try it because you're just being yourself.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Amen. Preach it. Okay.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's the truth. And thank you. Oh my gosh. Y'all are so sweet. Everybody in the chat is so sweet tonight. I mean, y'all are always sweet. I have the best chat on the internet. Okay.
Yeah,
And
thank you guys. Every time. Every time.
yeah.
Always a pleasure. I love your audience. It's part of what makes your show so fun.
Yeah, it is. Thank you so much. I mean, I don't want to end the show right now. I mean, I would love to keep talking to you a little bit more about some stuff.
Yeah, we
Okay,
can
because
totally do
I
that.
know we went over all the data for this, but I mean, you know, I'm a little more interested in learning a little bit more about the things that you've experienced in your life. And I know our audience, some of the people that are watching tonight might not know your whole background. I know I don't want to, it can be a little depressing for you. So you don't have to get into it too deep. But if you could kind of tell the audience a little bit about your background with the Montauk project, since you and I went to Montauk together a little bit, and how you got into like Project Phoenix and all that stuff. Like, how does that work? Because some people in my audience may not have a clue.
It's connected to this too, so I think it's important because it's
Yeah.
not like the whole audience was there with us at Montauk and got to hear the whole spiel and the whole story. So sure,
Right.
it's my job and it's my pleasure to educate people on what happened there. So really, I've learned. I'll be honest with you. We might have talked about this at Montauk, but I've actually learned a lot about how it all actually went down and stuff like that. And it turns out that I am actually was born in an alternate reality in Munich, Germany, in the 1950s to uh, Carl Emmerman and Penny Bradley, like in an alternate reality. And Penny thinks she's my mom. She's either my mom or my grandma. I think she might be my mom. And it's one of those things where they never let her raise me, so it's weird. But I think she's my mom. But basically, I was manifested. I don't know how deep I should go with this because it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. Michelle, do you know what Michelle Lambie is? Michelle Lambie.
No,
But
I don't
you
think
could,
so.
why don't you pull up a picture and show people if you
Okay,
can?
let's do it.
Yeah, and I'll explain her a little bit. So basically, this woman was through time travel and stuff because I know it doesn't make sense. She was like, but she's involved in all this stuff, and she is a part of with Michael
Oh
Aquino
gosh.
and the
Oh,
Temple
is
of
this?
Set.
Hold
And
on, I can't. Is it the lady that's a fashion designer with the black fingers?
yeah, mm-hmm.
Oh my god, are we gonna pull her up for real?
Yeah. Well, I
Okay,
want to explain to
okay, let's
people
talk
who she
about it.
is.
Okay,
So she was a
okay.
part
Oh
of.
my gosh, she's always like, I'm fascinated by that woman. I don't know who she is or what, but she's got a interesting vibe about her. Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
she's a Satanist witch, as Girl on Her Gong is
Okay.
saying,
Oh my
and
god. Yeah.
she was part of Project Ibis, which was
Okay.
Mac Miller was at Montauk. That's another thing too. That someone was saying that in the chat, but basically she was a part of the whole thing. We're manifesting the Egyptian gods into human bodies to put them into these time travel projects to steal their power from them,
Oh my
basically.
gosh.
And yeah, you can just see. I mean, she's a dark, evil witch, but like, yeah, so she's connected to a lot of the musicians and stuff like that that are owned by the Satanic Cabal, the Satanic cult, the global Satanic cult that has infiltrated the entertainment industry and all that stuff. I'm sure 99% of your audience knows about all that stuff. But yeah, you can
Okay.
just see what she is. I mean, she's yeah, and so she's a part of it. And then another person, if you want, you could look up Carl Emmerman. Uh,
Okay.
uh, um, it's Emmerman with
With
a
the
E.
E, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get him. Is he any of
Yeah.
these
No,
people?
no, 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 no. You gotta spell it right. It's bringing up
Let's
Zimmerman's.
go back to E. All right. We're duck going over here live, you guys.
So, and this should, yeah, so
Okay.
that's him. Wow. Go to the top left one. Go to the top left one.
This
This
one?
looks so, yeah, wow. That
That
looks so
looks
much
like
like my,
you. Are you related to this guy?
yes, this is my biological father.
That
This is my
looks like you.
yes, he's my
Whoa, no
biological
way.
father. Yeah, that's
That
him.
looks like you,
And I
Arkheim.
figured this out. I want to give credit where it's due because how I figured this out is I knew that
Oh my
John
god.
Whitberg, I knew that how I figured this out is I knew that John Whitberg was my half brother. And I knew that it wasn't our mom because I just knew that like Penny Bradley is not his mom, right?
Wow.
So I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, who? Do you know who our dad is?" And he's like, "Yeah, Carl Emmerman. So please, if you ever want to talk with, he'd be a great guest to have on the show. If you ever wanted to talk, he could probably give you a target. I don't know. He's weird about doing shows. He's
Yeah.
kind of more private than I am, but awesome guy. And his book, which is free on archive.org, The Man with the Periwinkle Eyes, part 1 and 2. So there's 2 parts. I highly recommend checking out. But yeah, that literally, and if you saw a picture of my dad too, you'd be like, wow, Arkheim, wow. Like I need to screenshot that right now. Actually, I want to screenshot that because that's just too crazy. I don't want to have to. I've never found this picture before, and I'm afraid I won't find it again. So I'm just gonna screenshot it real quick. But like, yeah,
That
that literally looks so
definitely
much like.
looks like you.
Yeah, so yeah, that's my actual biological father, and he's a real POS. Obviously, he was a Nazi. Like, I'm not saying he was a good person. I'm just telling people the facts. But like, yeah, and I actually remember. So like, he's put me into the projects. He put me into Montauk. He manifested me here, and I just remember that like one of the things that I remember too about him is like I remember when I at my own volition, like found him on his deathbed in Germany. And I remember telling him because I want to go back to the original. See, I remember it got to the point where in Montauk, they had me brainwashed. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I came from. I didn't know why I was there. I just followed orders. It was like fucking hell. And I finally got to the point where like I remembered where I came from. I remembered that I came from another reality. I remember how they kidnapped me. I remember what they did to me, and I wanted to get back. I wanted to get back. I had a wife. I had kids. I remember like I had a life I wanted to get back to. And I remember finding him because I thought he might be able to tell me how to get back to the reality that I come from. And I remember him telling me, he's like, son, there are more realities than there are grains of sand in all the beaches on Earth. He's like, it's like, it's not just like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's harder than trying to find a needle in a haystack. He's like, the chances of you finding the reality you come from are damn near impossible. And I remember being so mad. Like I wanted to go back so bad. I was like, well then I'll start my own time travel project and I'll unchange everything that you did and I'll change it back. Then will it bring it back? He's like, no, no. He's like, son, if you want to go back to a reality like where you come from, the best thing you do is find a reality like it. And you might even think it's your reality and you'll be there for 3 months and then you'll start noticing all the differences and all the changes and how it's not the same. He's like, you could think that you could be somewhere for weeks, months, days. It's not always the same amount of time where you start realizing, wait, it is different. Like, so he was just the things I've experienced, you guys. It is fucking crazy. Like people are like, man, what's your life like? It must be nuts. It is. It is. Trust me, it is. Kat can testify to it. My partner. It's crazy. Like. But yeah, that's like the beginning of my story, and obviously a big part of it too is I figured out because people I told you initially on the show I get more information and the picture becomes more clear over time. I've talked about the talented and gifted program and how I got basically taken out of the talented and gifted program. Let me explain something to you about the talented and gifted program. I did get taken out of of school to be put into black ops projects through the talented and gifted, or in it's another state that's called the Gifted and Talented Education Program. I was targeted through them. Now, if you go on TikTok and you look it up, there's all sorts of people talking about it, talking about how weird it is. I don't know why I haven't made a video on it and put it on TikTok yet to answer these people's questions. But basically, like the reason, like for instance, like like some of you in the chat, I guarantee there'll be at least 1 or 2 people. Remember that you getting an IQ test and then they put the headphones on you and they say it's a hearing test and they're playing
I had
tones.
one. Yeah,
They're trying to activate your alters. I figured out. You remember how I told you when I was being tortured? So when they took me out of school, and they had me strapped to a table and they had a TV that I couldn't see, and I was lying there, and they're asking me like And I got pulled out of school for this, like it was me, and they ended up creating an alter that isn't me because of the compartmentalization of the memories, so you can survive. That's how DID works. But it was me, and I didn't
Mhm.
know. They're like, you're gonna say the colors on the screen, even though you can't see it. And I remember they put me on drugs. They strapped me down and had electricity electrodes hooked up to me.
Wow.
And they're like, when it beeps, you got to say the color on the TV. And I was like, how am I going to say the color on the TV? I can't see it. I can't see the TV. They're like, we know what you are, you fucking monster. You're going to see the color on the TV. And I never understood that, what that meant. It's because of the test earlier. The tone test where they
Yeah.
put the headphones on, all the military programs use the same tones. When we came back from these Montauk missions, you'd be in this room where these tones would play at you, and then they would bring your cover altar forward and activate them. That's what they were
Oh
doing
my
with those
gosh.
headphones. They were trying to see what kids were already in the programs and activate their altars so they could talk to them.
Oh.
And of course, they did that. They got my altars to come out and be like, fuck you, I'm not going to give you any information. So then, of course, they strap me down to a table and torture me and get it the only way they can. And they basically, they put me into Solar Warden. I was on the moon. I was basically put on an IV in like, I had like a catheter and all that stuff, and I just lied there, and I was like a I could go on and on. I've been through so much, you guys. So many different
Yeah.
clone. I've been used in satanic ritual abuse parties where they sacrifice me at the end of the party, or I've been to the hunting parties at the Mothers of Darkness castle. Like, I could go on and on of all the stuff that I've experienced, and it's because of the fact that I'm connected to this ancient bird person that was considered a god in ancient Egypt, named Arkheim Ra, that was deleted from the reason why you're like, oh, why isn't that in the history? Marduk deleted me from all history. He edited me out of history. Like, I used to be a part of it. I'm not. But like, I'm sorry, I'm going on like a tangent. It's so hard to
No,
explain my story because it's like a really big story and there's so
it's
many aspects to it.
multifaceted.
It's like
Your story is multifaceted, and there's so many different avenues to take down it because it's been you've got so much experience, and you are one of the when we did one of the targets you gave me. I can't remember which one it was, but I was picking up on like it was you, and you were like the best asset they had. Okay,
Mhm.
you are their top notch asset, and whatever, and that was a blind target. I didn't know what I was looking at, but it just kept coming up with like top notch,
I
top
remember
grade.
that, and I remember that
You're like
being
the
like,
best of the best. Remember
yeah,
that?
and I remember that being like, people were like, good for you, Arkra. And I remember like, you have no idea how much of a curse it is to be the best of the best. You don't know.
Yeah,
It sucks actually,
yeah,
because you're the best of the best at what? Killing, war. Great. So now that's my life. That's just what I have to do now. Is
yeah,
just be just in war all the time, just fighting war after war after war after war. What do you think I do out there? That's what I do. Just
yeah.
endless fighting.
Mm-hmm. And it's important that we put this out there to the public. Okay, and I actually really enjoy, and I'm glad that we can talk about this on my audience, because most people come to my shows to listen about cryptids, Bigfoot and stuff, but we are multiversal. Is that a word? We are
Yeah.
multiversal over here, and I like to talk about everything, and that's why we do the remote viewing show is a cut above. We talk about everything here, but just to expand your consciousness, and just to, what if all this stuff is real, y'all? I'm just saying it is. I mean, we're bringing people on the show like Arkheim that with firsthand,
Yeah, I would
living
say,
proof of it.
yeah, a good example too would be Daryl James, and he literally was in the
Mhm.
Navy. He's got records that can show he was stationed at Cornwall with Aquino at the time. Aquino, like, it all lines up. Like, he's got the benefit of evidence, more evidence than I do. But I like to bring him up because he's really, his case is really grounded in reality, and he's one of many. I'm just one of many other people: Joseph Powell, Penny Bradley, James Rink, um, uh, John Whitberg. I could go on and on. There's tons of us, and we're all saying the same stuff. We're not, it's all this. We're all saying the same things.
Mhm. Yeah. Andrew's asking, wow, activated through tones. Okay, well, I got to tell y'all something. If you've ever done the gateway process, the gateway program, it's from the Monroe Institute. That's part of my training in remote viewing. We had to do the gateway program a lot, over and over again. We had to go through all the different levels and you name it. And that's what it is. It's activating your, what do you call it? the hemisync. Okay, and it's a
Mhm.
bunch of tones, and it's very similar to that hearing test that they gave us in elementary school. Okay, it is tones and frequencies and stuff, but it's actually activating, getting both sides of your brain to work in tandem and whatever. It's it opens you up to understanding that your body is you're more than this physical body. And they actually say that. I mean, it's like it's self hypnosis basically is what you're doing. Okay, it's a
Mhm.
hypnotic thing, and it's just pure consciousness. Okay, you're tapping into just pure consciousness when you're doing that kind of stuff, and so that's the basis for a lot of what we've been talking about tonight, and even with, I mean, I being a remote viewer, I can time travel in my mind with my consciousness into different dimensions and to different eras and things like that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I still I still think that you and I are going to do some time traveling together one day, Arkeem. I think we will.
I actually know. I actually know we will.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm already planning. I mean, I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some work that we have to do.
Yes. Yeah, there's definitely some weird things going on in my life where I have heard my own voice yell out time travel from across the
I
way
was with you.
in the middle of the night.
I'm with you
Yeah.
when that happens.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for all this to play out in the 3D, you know, my conscious reality.
It's crazy. Yeah,
Getting to
like
do
okay,
that.
here's another example. Like
Hmm.
I've seen my guitar in the future that I own, and I've seen like how it gets beaten up over time. And the other day, I just had like this mind blowing moment where I saw the first mark appear that was already on the guitar in the future. Like it still blows my mind all this time travel stuff. Like I've done it so much, and it's still just like that's the same fucking mark, and I already saw it, and it's like. But how is this all happening? Like, it's the same exact. Wouldn't it play out a little different because I saw it happen already? But no, it plays out the same exact way. It's like, pff, like how? Like, you know what I mean? Like you would think it'd play out different because you saw it, but no. You, in the version where it happened, you already saw it. So no, it does. It's like what? Like, it gets so confusing. Like the grandfather paradox, which by the way recently got solved apparently. Some
Oh yeah.
some quantum physicists solved the grandfather paradox and proved you actually could
Oh.
go back in time and meet yourself, which all of us time soldiers have been saying is possible and actually has happened.
Oh. So you can go meet yourself. I've heard stories of that happening before.
Yeah, well, and they
Going.
also say if you went back in time and killed your grandfather, would you still exist? That's the grandfather paradox, and apparently
Oh.
some quantum mathematician or theorist or something. I just saw it. It was like I just saw an article about it and I didn't read it. I should have read it. So I guess you can't believe every little article heading you read. I should look into it more. But apparently they solved that
Yeah.
from what I hear. Something to look into. Don't take take my word for it. Look into it more, people.
Oh, that's actually pretty fascinating. Yeah.
Actually, I might as well Google it. Solve grandfather's paradox.
Yeah.
Grandfather's.
I've not heard of that, but that makes all the sense. Well, it's just like when you watch shows like even like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, my son used to love watching that when he was younger, and they have the multiverse basically there, like just like in Spider-Man. A lot of these kids cartoons today are showing us this soft disclosure about the multiverse and teleportation and time travel.
Do you want to
Um,
hear some of what the Google AI said about it? It's actually really
yeah,
interesting. The
yes.
grandfather paradox is a hypothetical scenario that seems to contradict itself. It asks what would happen if somebody traveled back in time and killed their grandfather, which would prevent their own birth. However, if they weren't born, they wouldn't be able to travel back in time to kill their grandfather. Some potential solutions to the grandfather paradox include parallel timelines. The time traveler could start in a timeline where their grandfather lived long enough to have children, then travel back in time and kill their grandfather. They would then continue along a parallel timeline where they would never be born. Then there's quantum scale. A fundamental particle could travel back in time to flip a switch on the particle generating machine that created it. What? Superposition. The universe could exist in a superposition of two states where the grandfather is both alive and dead. This would create a looping timeline that is logically consistent. Holy crap! Which we've talked about time loops. We've talked about time
Hmm.
loops. That's been something that all the Montauk people have talked about. Entropy. Entropy is a measure of disorder and it increases things or as things break down over time. It's impossible to undo an increase in disorder, so the traveler's actions would be irreversible. General relativity, quantum mechanics, and thermodynamics. A study that relates these fields suggests that time travel might be possible without leading to logical contradictions. Wow, that's
Wow.
yeah. So that's I wasn't able to find the article, but there's obviously oh yeah, and then here it is. Physicist claims to solve the paradox, making it possible. And it was January Earth 2025, livescience.com. If people want to look into the article, yeah, that this is I don't. It's a pretty long article, so I don't want to take up all the time here, but um, this what he says is his solution is hold on, I'm just trying to get to the meat of it. Entropy. He thinks it's entropy. That he think that's it. The one that and most physicists and philosophers argue if time travel exists, nature always find a way to prevent contradictory situations. Gavasino said a self-consistency principle is introduced, suggesting that everything should align to a logically coherent story, which is shown. This is exactly what I've been saying. My work provides the first rigorous derivation of the self-consistency result directly from established physics, specifically applied the standard framework of quantum mechanics without additional postulates or controversial assumptions, and demonstrated that the self-consistency of history naturally flows from quantum laws. So basically saying when you do something like this, the universe just corrects itself naturally. It just quantum physics
Yeah.
just adjusts. And he's not just saying I can't put his math on screen, but he's a physicist. He did an equation to prove this. This isn't just like so very interesting stuff. It kind of beyond my current pay grade, but yeah.
That's fantastic. And I mean, it actually does kind of
Who's
it does
David
make sense.
Purcell? Who's that?
Do you remember David Purcell? I don't know. I don't know who that is. I don't know, but I do know that Caleb Jade's in the chat, and Caleb said that music. Wait, what did you say about music and magic? Music is like the key to magic. Okay, now I know you and I have had conversations about magic before, and you are a musician as well, and you have been very musical. You've written a lot of music while you were in the secret space programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of role does that play in like magic and in the programs? Does it?
I can give you one example. It goes all over the place. One thing I can tell you is, for whatever reason, the dark forces want to make Earth men. This is I'm just gonna say it. It's like fucking weird, but they want to make everybody pedophiles here. So they put programming in the music, in the images. Like think about Britney Spears. Her first thing
Oh
she's
yeah,
scanty and she's at school literally and stuff. Think about it.
schoolgirl.
All that
Yeah.
imagery and it's sexual imagery and so that and a lot of that is mind control programming and stuff like that. And a
Hmm.
lot of it has to do with just making us more like in a root check. Like it's easy to use sexual programming to dumb us down and keep us in a state of hypersexuality and just
Yeah.
dumbness and I think that's what a lot of it is. But there's even stuff like the song "Do the Hustle."
Yeah.
That song has mind control programming to make people want to work, and they put that
No
song
way.
out they put the song out during a time where like Americans were being too they were just partying too hard and not working hard enough, and they put that song out. Literally, I remember it too. It's literally "Do the Hustle." It's not even kind of hidden, and it's
Dun,
got
dun,
it's
dun,
got
dun,
yeah
dun,
it's
dun.
got programming and it's
Yep.
making it work. And there's
Oh
just all
my
sorts of
god.
stuff like it's got programming in it, but also they just use it for money laundering, for just like making
Yeah.
money. Like Spotify is behind it big time. Spotify doesn't pay. Okay, the founder of Spotify is worth like millions, if not billions of dollars, and then he claims that Spotify doesn't make any money. How does that make any fucking sense? That makes zero. So
Yeah.
you have a product that isn't even. It's just fairy dust in space. It doesn't actually exist. It's some servers. I guess they need servers. That does cost money to maintain. But still, it's like you should. How are you not making a shit ton of money? Like, and I think they are. I think they're lying. I think they are making a lot of money. And there's also the stuff where I've talked about the Ordo Templum Nephilim, and I've talked about how it gets crazy. It gets crazy. They're stolen so much music from me. Like, and I've talked about how one of the things that they do is the modern music is different now. Like, it's not like how it was where you go to the record store and you find your favorite band or new band, and by experimenting and looking at the genre or whatever, or finding something on the radio, people when they look for music, they well, what they'll do a lot of times is they'll put in a mood. They'll be like, and so that's where, like, for instance, like, lo-fi beats to study and relax to. That's where that comes from. Is
Mhm.
because like people will be like, oh, music for cleaning or relaxed jazz playlist. So Spotify is capitalizing on that, and they actually, I'll look up this article real quick, and I'll share it with you on the screen.
Okay.
Spotify secret artist, Sweden. Hold on. Yeah, here he is. Okay. And if you could just let me share my screen real quick here.
Absolutely.
Um, just a second. I gotta.
We got people in the chat. We got J True Seeker Arkheim. He's asking, does Arkheim know how I can reverse time travel back into myself, back into the 1980s?
You can take a shit ton of psychedelics and do a magic ritual to do it, but I don't recommend it because you might not end up in the correct timeline.
You heard it here first, J True Seeker.
For entertainment purposes,
Educational purposes. Yeah.
only professionals should probably do. Professional
Okay.
psychonauts? No, I don't know, but I actually do think it's possible. I do think it is literally possible to go back in time through just your own consciousness. In fact, I know we did it with Montauk and stuff. But anyway, so Swedish composer from Spotify's most famous musician you never heard of, Johan Rohr's 2,700 songs have been streamed 15 billion times, more plays than Britney Spears or ABBA. And so basically, this guy, he's got all sorts of different names under, Doggins. Oh wait, yeah. So Maya Armstrong, Minnick Knudsen, all these different names, and none of them are him. It's one guy, and it's like with names like Peaceful Piano, Stress Relief, or whatever. And like it's exactly what I was saying. Is like the landscape has changed. So they use these programs. They've got people making, like, I know I made a lot of this music with somebody. It wasn't just me, but like they made all this music, and they basically just make endless money off of it um on Spotify. And Spotify is part of this Ordo Temple of Nephilim. It's crazy. It's like a crazy. It sounds crazy. And it is, but like it happened to me. Like I went to another planet on a recording studio where I was I was I was record. Like there's this guy Dennis Pop. He recorded with NSYNC, Britney Spears, and all that stuff, and then Max Martin. Okay, I got the memory back before I found him of being at a recording. I got taken to a recording studio on another planet, and I talked about these two European dudes before I even found out who they were, and he gave me this powder, and I'm like, "What's this? You were trying to party? What's going on, man?" And he's like, "It hooks up your brain to the computer, the recording computer." I'm like, "What?" And like this future computer, you can literally hook up your brain to it, and like when you want to move stuff around or change the sound, you can do it telepathically. It's crazy. And like but that's Dennis Pop um and Max Martin. Let me see if I can um share my screen again with you here. Just a second. I don't know why I share screen. I'll just show you these guys. Entire screen. And then this is Max Martin right here. Just let me know when you're sharing it. Oh, so yeah, this is Max Martin right here. And I remember him. I know him extremely well. He is the one who is making all the money off of my music that he's stealing from me. Um, and yeah, he's got core written 27 top 100 top one singles, 25. The Katy Perry's "I Kiss a War Girl," Maroon 5's "One More Night," "Shake It Off," Blank Space, "Blinding Lights." I wrote "Blinding Lights." "Save Your Tears." That's my song. Um, and yeah, he's been all over the place. And then Dennis Pop. Here's a picture of both of them. Dennis Pop was his protege. He's the one that taught them. He was behind Ace of Base. And yeah, I got memories of these guys before. This is the guy who I saw. I found him on the internet after remembering his face. Imagine how just creepy that would be to have happen.
Oh, wow.
And this was the guy who I remember being with at a futuristic recording console with a giant like screen in front of us, and he handed me this glass plate. It was like, "You want to try this?" And I was like, "What is this, cocaine or something? What's going on, man?" And he's like, "No, it's 2319B or something." It was like some chemical name. It's like it helps your brain connect with the computer. And what's crazy is that was how they kept me at the studio. I got addicted to it, and so they just left me there. And they just, dude, it was kind of like being in heaven, but also it was like being a slave because I couldn't leave. Like, but all I did was work on music. And I remember Kanye West being there. He actually physically showed up there. I remember certain other, David Bowie showed up there, and Janis Joplin and showed up there at one point not to work on music, to congratulate me for getting my residency. They call it a residency. Wow. So they're actually there to congratulate me. But like, it's crazy. Like Kurt Cobain was a time soldier. Mac Miller was a time soldier at Montauk. Tupac, time soldier at Montauk. I could go on and on. Like the music industry is so heavily involved in it, and really it's because it's the most powerful form of magic that's used just right out in the open. I mean, think about it. Music's magic. It instantly changes your mood. It instantly makes you feel different. It changes people's opinions. It changes the world. It causes revolutions. It causes, you know what I mean? Fashion revolutions and revolutions in thought. And it's just, music is such a powerful thing. So of course, the powers that be have to control music. They have to control music. Like the police, their music guy, their manager, he's literally a CIA agent. Not by any coincidence.
Like a handler?
Yeah, and like there's all sorts of situations like that. Like where if you look into how the band got famous, like Jim Morrison, military family. The Mamas and the Papas, military family. Who else? I could go on and on.
Oh
there's
man,
seriously so many more.
I know some musicians personally whose parents are related to military programs.
The military decides who gets to be popular and who isn't.
Yeah,
literally, they're controlling the music.
Yeah,
like it's 100%. They control it. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Caleb is in the military as well. He is. I'm not sure what your status
is.
Elvis
was also there.
Oh yeah, yes, that's right. Elvis was.
Elvis is Britney Spears' dad. That's Britney Spears' real dad. Her real name. Her real name is Gabriella. Her name's not Britney. Her real name's Gabriella. That's like an altar that they created. That's her whole life is manufactured, fake. She's just MK Ultra. John Denver. John Denver was Montauk, Fuchsia La Rosa. John Denver was a Montauk time soldier. He was a huge one, part of tons of missions. Who else? I could keep going on. There's so many of John Lennon. John Lennon was a time soldier. I remember being on missions with him in Southeast Asia. I remember how he loved to smoke big cigars. John Lennon did. That version of him, at least. And his name wasn't John. It was something else because it was an altar of him.
Okay, so I've been researching.
Courtney loves dad with CIA. Sorry, not to talk.
Courtney, okay.
Before we forget, this was one of your comments, and love the chats on this awesome. Chester Bennington. A lot of the songs, for instance, I told you Jason H. Forever Alone is one of my songs. Forever Alone. And they originally wanted Chester Bennington. I think they wanted Chester Bennington to sing that. And there's also songs out there that were stolen that you hear by other musicians that Chester Bennington wrote in the programs. Chester Bennington gets his music stolen from him. Mac Miller, you know the song, he got music stolen from him as well. Mm-hmm. There's famous songs from like the 50s and stuff like that he wrote as a time soldier at Montauk, which that was why I think he died, is because he was remembering things. Get this. You want to know what his last idea for a music video was? And we know this through the MySpace guy. The MySpace guy posted on the anniversary of Mac Miller's death. He's just like, I just want everybody to know, like, I fell out of relevance like a long time ago, but the very last cool thing that happened to me was Mac Miller messaged me and said he wanted me to be a part of a music video. And I was like, he was like, Mac, I am there. What's the music video? What do you want me to do? He's like, well, basically, I'm just teleporting all over the place to different events throughout history and different places and stuff like that. And I want you to be in one of the scenes where I teleport and you're there. And he's like, oh, that's a cool idea. And it's like, think about it. Doesn't it seem like he was getting it? And like he was trying to show people in his music videos, and like I think that's why he died. And it seems like that Ariana Grande, she's just like a handler, like big time. Like she's a handler, like she's a cute girl that they put into these MK Ultra guys' lives, and then they're dead not long later. It seems like it hasn't there been two guys that not long after she dated them, they're dead now. Like it's two people, right? Like pretty sure. Yeah. Like I said, John Denver, Total Montauk. Like there's so many of them. Like. I know that also, like, not only was Tupac a time soldier, but he was also connected to ancient Egypt, and I think he was actually originally born in ancient Egypt, and was like, I can't remember why, but he was like a big deal in ancient Egypt. Yeah, and that's true. Aaron did know Mac Miller and was a part of the Montauk Project as well. She's doing an interview on James Rink's show in the near future, so keep an eye out for that.
Oh, cool. Aaron, actually, okay, so I think I've talked to Aaron before, and we were talking about, I think her uncle was from the project the high jump Operation High Jump from Arkansas. Oh my gosh, General Byrd. Byrd. Yeah. That's her uncle, right, Aaron? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's wild. I need to get Aaron on my show too. I need to get Aaron on here. We have a lot to talk about. This is and I've seen her post with Mac Miller and stuff too. Okay, what I was going to ask you is, like, I've been doing these shows on like potential human cloning and artificial humans and things like that. Well, we've been getting into like the rappers and the pop singers and things like that, and it appears that people like Tupac are actually alive today. Okay, where we thought they were dead. They're he's like a kill the MC now over at Jurassic 5, stuff like that. Are you following that? What do you think about that? Is it another alter? Is it just a person that looks like him? Like what's going on with all this? With these clone rappers?
There's a guy in Jurassic 5 that looks just like Tupac.
His name's Akil the MC. Yeah, and people are dead set that that's Tupac. And even Elvis. They say Elvis is a preacher at a church in Missouri now, and I don't know. There's all sorts of actors. It looks like they've been cloned, or they're playing different roles. It's one person playing different roles, maybe. What do you think about all that?
I'm looking at this guy, and I knew Tupac.
Okay.
I don't think
look up Jurassic 5. Kill the MC. Well, people, this is a big debate. It's a big debate.
I don't think it looks like him myself personally.
I think it looks like him.
But we can. I think it's 100% very likely that he's. I mean, he probably is still alive. He was the Machiavelli, all that. I'm sure you know about all that. He was basically
of course.
People, I'm gonna fake my death. He was like literally straight up telling people.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There's a guy on Instagram, and he's called the Fittest Flat Earther, and I need to get him on the show sometime. He does all these like facial comparisons and stuff, and some of them are a little out there. Okay, but I like I said, I always have an open mind about it, and I do think that a lot of these people, there's some people that are just actors playing different roles even today. Okay,
there's been some really weird ones, like I know I can't think of any of them, but like some person is supposed to die, and then like now they're a professor at some university. Isn't it Kubrick? Was Kubrick one of them where he's supposed to be dead, but then there's just some guy out there who looks exactly like him, and he's like. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it was Kubrick, but I feel like it's more than one person that I found where it's like it does literally seem like they just moved them around a little bit, and they're still like, oh, wasn't it one of the this one's maybe a controversial, but remember the Challenger that crashed, that blew up?
I did a show on it. Yeah, I did a show on it. They're alive today.
Yeah. There's like this lady, I think one of them, she's professor at some college. It's like she's got a different name and stuff, but it looks exactly like her to the point where it's weird. Or didn't they even keep the same name? Did they even change her name? I can't remember. Same name.
Yeah, it's the same name. But then they go into like the excuse of, well, they had twins or something like that.
There's another really weird thing where sometimes like super important world events will happen, and someone will die, and the person who died coincidentally has a twin. Have you ever noticed that? Like that's happened a few
Yeah.
times. It's like, what? Wait, what's going on there? So there's weird
Oh
stuff.
yeah, like
And
Chris
you got to keep in
Farley.
mind.
Chris Farley's brother, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't think that's so twin. I think
And
that's him.
I think we got to use discernment because like every once in a while, sometimes just looks like someone. Like that's a thing. There are people who
So,
look like each other. Like there's a whole thing on Facebook, like find your doppelganger, and there's people who look like each other. You know what I mean? So you got to keep that in mind. But also with the cloning and everything going on, you can't look away from that either, right? So
yeah, that's right. Okay, so someone was asking about Taylor Swift, the Andromedan. Okay, says, what do y'all think about Taylor Swift saying she's a time traveler, or her people say she's a time traveler? Well, I think that she might be Anton LaVey's daughter. I don't know. What do you think about that? You know a lot of these people in these programs. What is your thought on that?
Xena LaVey is still alive, and she actually recently. I'm not a huge fan
Is
of the
she?
guy. Fan of the guy. Like I actually hate him, but it's probably an interesting interview. I know she
Yeah,
did an interview with Jordan Peterson about Christianity and how she's no
Xena
longer a
LaVey did.
Satanist. Yeah, Xena LaVey did.
I
I'm really mind below that. So she's out there, and she's apparently a Christian now.
I thought
So
she was not alive today for some reason.
no,
Well, maybe
she's still
I thought that
alive,
Taylor was
but
a clone.
I think that Taylor is probably related, maybe a granddaughter, maybe something. I think she's related though. I think she is
Yeah.
related, and I think that it's not a coincidence that they look alike. But it is important to note that Xena LaVey is alive and well, doing interviews, and apparently is a born again Christian or whatever. So,
Oh my gosh. What if I
yeah,
could get
so
her on my show? That would be
that
would you come on with me? I'd have to have you on the show too,
I would
probably.
totally be interested in doing that if you ever did get her on the show. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about talking about how these Satanist people are kind of whack and they kind of suck. Like, I'm totally on board with that train. So, like, yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be unreal. Like, it would make sense to have me on the show. Yeah, it wouldn't not, it would click, I think. But
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Yes, Caleb Jade, I just saw that I didn't see this earlier. You had given 5 Cryptid Hunters memberships for the channel for channel members, new channel members. Thank you. And now you just gave 10 more. That's 15 total. Congratulations to everybody who just got a free Cryptid Hunters membership from Caleb Jade. Thank you. Compliments of Caleb. That is so sweet of you. Now, Caleb is somebody that I would love for you to talk to, Arkheim. He spent 25 years in the military. I think he was a Marine, actually. 25 years in the military, and he he participated in like magical stuff, used magic. He's a magician in the military. Okay,
so did he serve under Stubble Bean or something like
I
that?
don't know, that's a good question. He's right here, so I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
have to find out.
Stubble Bean was the guy that was all into the cult and creating, like, he wanted people to walk through walls. He wanted to make people who could walk through walls
Oh
and all that
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
Bert
Oh yeah,
Bert
that's
Newton
that that was
Stubblebine the third.
I thought that was part of the remote viewing training too, though, right? It was all about that psi stuff and the psionics. I don't know. I thought it was kind of combined with the remote viewing, but it's maybe different. Walking through walls.
He was a key sponsor of the Stargate project, the remote viewing project
Yeah,
at Fort
remote
Meade.
viewing.
He was into Uri Geller, levitation, and and he was associated. What Wikipedia just says that he was associated with Satanism, which I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caleb says we are family. Now I'm not sure if he's referring to who you're asking about. So, Caleb needs to come on the show sometime. I need to hit up Caleb and get him on the show for sure. Thank you for being here, Caleb, and thank you for your generous donation tonight and buying those for our audience members tonight. And that means I need to go crank out some more videos over there with my membership exclusive content. It's called the Hunt Club. If anybody wants to become a member over there, I try to put out at least one exclusive video every week, every single week. So, oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, it's fascinating that our military has programs like that, and and people will talk about it, like Caleb. Now, Caleb, I have not ever seen Caleb's face, okay, but I've done shows with Caleb before over on Aquarius Rising Africa, and it was fascinating, Arkheim.
Oh, by the way, they had me on their show, and it was really great. And I just want to thank you for making that connection. Like, it was
Shanti.
Yeah, I'm going to be going on there again too, and I really
enjoyed it.
Great interview.
Oh
She
yeah,
got a lot of
Shanti's
information
amazing.
out of me. Yeah, she got like
Yeah.
all like I was blowing their minds over there too. It was all new people, so that was interesting.
Oh yeah. Well, it's great. Well, she gets like Leo Gazami. Is that how
Oh
you
yeah,
say his
yeah,
last
yeah,
name
yeah.
on her
I've
show,
got
and
one of his books and
Caleb's
stuff.
on her
Yeah,
show. Yeah, Caleb's on there, and Jesse. I forgot her last name, Saboteur or Zebator. I don't remember how to pronounce it.
I'm finding out that a lot of our testimony like it lines up, and we probably know each other.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking that too, and I think it's great that we're all making these connections, and all able to share our testimonies and our experience together, because it's all about connecting those dots, right, Arkeem?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
100%.
it's 100% about connecting dots, y'all. Um,
So I did want to bring up to you that
Zagami.
I already have a new target with you and
Okay,
target for you, and I would like
sweet.
to bring on my good friend Sean Bond for this target.
I
Have
love
you ever heard of?
Sean.
Yeah. So I don't know what next Thursday. Like, do you have someone for next Thursday or?
I don't think so. I fly by the seat of my pants. I think is how they say
Because
that.
yeah, I mean, we're pretty much.
So
I asked him if he'd be ready to
yeah,
do it next Thursday, and he said he would. But I said, sometimes you
yeah,
have
I could do it.
guests. So okay, there you go. Yeah,
I could
because
do it. We could
we
do it
have
next
a
Thursday.
yeah we have a
Send me
really
the
we have a
coordinates.
super duper cool target for you.
Okay. Well, just as long as y'all can be here, I'll be here too. Every Thursday night we got remote viewing shows. At some point, I'm gonna have to add an extra
You gotta
show
say
because we
hi
do
to
so much
Kat.
remote viewing. And there's our friend Kat. Hey,
Say hi to
Kat.
Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
Hey,
Nice to see you as always.
you too. You're live on the Cryptid Hunters channel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, we'll plan on it next Thursday night. We'll have our Keem back, and we'll also bring Sean Bond. He's with the Psionic League, I believe, is the name of his YouTube channel. Something to do with psionics, but he
Sonic League, you're
discusses a
saying
lot of
exactly right. You got it exactly right.
yeah. He's really into remote viewing and the psychic side of life. Okay, so yeah, I just got the download. I wonder if it's about dragons. I don't know. He's really into dragons. I love that about him. Actually, Sean Bond we got to hang out with him at Montauk when Arkheim and I were out there. You guys, up there at Camp Hero and all that kind of stuff is when we met Sean. So, great group of people. Great group of people, and yeah. So this has been fantastic. I so appreciate you being here tonight, Arkheim.
Yeah,
And
thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. And like I said, you keep up with what you're doing here. Just you do a great job. Don't change anything. Like just keep doing what you're doing, Jessica. You're doing awesome.
thank you. Well, thank you. You
And
too,
the audience
Arkheim.
is the whole point. Like that's part of the reason why is because you've really just acquired such a great audience. So let's give a shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for being here, for being part of the conversation, for making the show so fun, and for helping me by asking the questions. You guys help me explain things better, so thank you for that. And yeah. And like I said, guys, check out the Disclosure Now channel. I got a show. I'm gonna be looking into Project Stargate. So something that's interesting to me. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about the AI god and the future and stuff and relating it to that. And I haven't watched the press. I'm just going to literally watch the press thing and react to it. It's 8 days old, but it's not too late for me to take a look at it and we'll just see what they have to say. And I want to point out that it's interesting that these quantum computers are supposed to look into other realities. And the first Project Stargate created by our government, by the military, was a remote viewing project. So is that what they're trying to do with this computers? Like peer into other realities and like learn from them and like, because that's kind of what they've been talking about quantum. So anyway, it's going to be a really interesting show. If people want to come check it out tomorrow, it's going to be tomorrow at noon my time. So I think that's 3 your time.
3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. So I'm just going to be doing just a show on like AI and like, there's so much going on right now with a deep, or what is it? DeepSeek with the Chinese AI and stuff. And so we're just going to be talking about AI tomorrow a little on my show. So if people want to come check that out.
Oh yeah, I love that. I will definitely try. Actually, I might be on the road tomorrow. I am going to be in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Okay, I'm speaking at a UFO conference on Saturday all day, and we got a meet and greet tomorrow night. So I will try. I actually even have a meeting tomorrow at 3 or 3:30 too. So, but I will, if I don't catch it live, Arkheim, I will definitely watch it as soon as I can tomorrow. And yeah, you guys please go over to Disclosure Now, put an exclamation point on it, and you can find Arkheim over there on his channel. Lots of great shows, and you really dive deep into topics that not a lot of other people are talking about. Okay, and you have a very unique testimony, and so I'm so glad that we're able to come here
I
and
call it
dissect
boots
some
on
of
the
your
ground.
experiences.
I call it boots on the ground testimony. People are trying to figure out
Yep.
what's in the spaceships. Well, I've been inside them.
You've been through portals. Okay. That's
Through
one of my
portals,
main
yeah.
things. I've always talked about portals, and I'll never forget when we were in Montauk, you told me some of the best, you gave me some of your best stuff, man. Like hearing about the portals where people would come through the mirrors and the walls, and they take out those bricks out of the bag and they put them on the wall and create like a Stargate portal or something like in the wall. Like it was wild.
Yeah.
I resonated with every single bit of that. Okay. And I just think you're amazing for talking about it and sharing your testimony with us here. And I'm glad that I'm able to dig into it with this remote viewing stuff. Okay.
Me too.
It's fun. Okay. It's fun. It's dark. Like you said earlier, it's a dark topics, dark content here, but we put a good light spin on it. Not that we're spinning it. Okay. But put a lightness about it and just shed light on all this. Okay.
I just
this
want
is
to say
really
to the people
heavy.
out there, if you could, please, I did this for Jaren. And if you could just pray to whatever God it is you believe in for peace for the planet Angua, for some sort of divine intervention or something like that that can help these people not have to be teleported off their own planet. I don't know if it's too late or what, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to pray. So just, I feel like the collective can be really powerful with that sometimes, and I feel like it's worth it if you guys can just put your positive energy towards Angua and what's going on there, because that's kind of why I did this. Is I just wanted to bring light to something that's totally in the darkness. It's like you said, you Google it, you can't find any information on it. So we're literally the only people in the world talking about this. Jessica, what do you think of that?
Hey,
it's crazy, huh?
It's totally cool with me. I think it's great. You know, I was able to tap into it on this target. You did a fantastic job of tasking me those coordinates, and together we made a good team tonight. Okay, we made a good team.
And yeah, the next target is hopefully, like, we'll find out through the information, but we think it's very positive. We think it's something that's actually like hopeful and nice for once. So yeah. Looking forward to that.
Me too. This has been amazing. All right. And then if you guys want to get access to all this data right here, go to my Patreon and become a member. Thank you guys to everybody who's a member of my Patreon, all of my channel members, and congratulations to all the new members tonight. We've got at least 15 members that are brand new tonight. And that's all thanks to our good friend, Caleb Jade, who's in the chat tonight. Thank you so much for being here, Caleb. Please come and join me on a show. I'm going to be hitting you up. And hopefully we can get you here too. And I think Caleb's got his own channel now too over on YouTube. I'll find out what that is. You guys just look up Caleb Jade. Okay. All right. Well, you guys come back and see me on Saturday night. I will be here Saturday at 10 p.m. as we go on the hunt. And it'll be right after my UFO conference. I'm going to rush back home.
Say goodbye to everybody on the Cryptid Huntress channel.
Oh, you're sweet kitty. Arkheim, tell us again, when are you going live? When's your next show?
Tomorrow at noon, I'm going to be just talking about AI, reacting to Project Stargate, Doge, and DeepSeek, and just there's so much stuff going on with that. Like the last week and a half has been really important for the history of like Earth when it comes to artificial intelligence. So we're going to just be examining it, and there's a lot of timelines where AI is just a tool we use and it's fine. And so that's sort of, it's like not going to be like a doom and gloom thing. It's just going to be like, hey, watch out, guys. We got to slow our roll. But yeah, we're just going to be looking at the information. And like I said, I haven't even watched the press briefing. So just kind of interested in what's going on. And I figure why not have the chat come with me and react with me, and we'll learn about it.
Perfect. That sounds like a party, man. I wish I wasn't going to be on the road tomorrow.
Well, congratulations for you're doing your thing. And hopefully it's a great conference, and we can always watch it later, so no worries there.
I will. Okay, thank you and okay, so wonderful. I will see you guys on Saturday. Go support Arkheim, Disclosure Now, on YouTube and on Patreon, right, Arkheim? Don't forget that
as well. Patreon.com/Arkheim Ra got exclusive content over there, and it's only $5 a month, so Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks again, Caleb Jade. You are the man. I do appreciate you so much. And you guys have a wonderful night. One last thing. I have a picture of my grandmother. I forgot that I had met an astronaut in person that worked for NASA. You know what we think about NASA, but I'm just kidding. We met Sally Ride, and that's my grandmother. I want to pay tribute one more time to my beautiful grandmother, Nellie, who passed away this week. And that's her when we were hanging out with Sally Ride back in, I think that was like 2012 or something. 2011, I think she maybe 2012 or something. And Sally Ride has also passed away as well. So I did get to hang out with an astronaut with my grandmother. All right. Okay. I know, right? Shout out to all the grandmas out there. And you guys are amazing. And my grandmother was amazing too. All right. Okay, Arkheim, have a wonderful night. Give Kat a big hug for me. Give your cat a hug for me and Kat a hug for me tonight. Okay.
I will. Much love. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
All right. You guys have a great night. Oop. See you, Arkheim. Oh my gosh. I love you guys. I'm sending all my love and light. You guys, please keep your head on a swivel. Stay safe out there. Don't live in fear. And join me back here on Saturday night. All right. Bye, y'all.